next section, we will talk about marking the mandibular canal. You will notice that we start in the bony template, and to get a nice translucent appearance, we could change the template of the 3D for looking at the mandibular canal a little bit more clearly. It's purely optional, of course. However, to change this, you go to Other tab, and you can scroll down. I like this one. You can choose any one you wish, but I like the CT Transparent 2 one. This one here gives a nice, good view of the mandibular canals when we start marking it. This can be done afterwards as well. It doesn't have to be done in the beginning. You can always go back and change the template later on after you've marked the mandibular canals. The technique that I find helpful is to first locate the mandibular canal, depending upon which side you're looking at, and then to get it from the sagittal projection as a nice linear tubular structure. It's easy to mark the canals as we're going to demonstrate. First, let's look in the coronal view. We can always slice the middle wheel on the coronal view if we're not seeing the mandibular canals, although here we're seeing them very nicely. At this point, we can bring in the Alt key. Hold it on the keyboard right next to your spacebar. Once you've got the Alt key selected, you can hold it down. You're going to see a little caliper. This apparently is the mandibular canal on the right side. So I'm going to just left click it into position, and then we can release the Alt key. After that's completed, we're going to go up here to the axial screen, and on the blue line is your anchor point. Okay, a little circle is called the anchor point. You're going to left click it, drag it over. Always going to line the blue line across to the right side of the mandibular arch there. And as you looked into the lower right hand corner, you can see the sagittal screen, and depending upon the different degree of obliquity, we're going to get the mandibular canal here in the sagittal projection. Okay, so here it is looking very nicely here. Okay, so remember, we've got the right side here selected, and that'll correspond to the right mandibular canal. Even though this says L, it's actually the right. It's just flipped. Now, what we're going to do is to mark the canal, we're going to go up to the icon that's called Implant, or simply IMP. We're going to click it once, then we come down, we click Planning, and we can click the M Canal tab right here. And once we've got that selected, we are going to go to this tab on the right, says New. Okay, New tab. And this is going to be the first mandibular canal. Now, to actually start drawing the canal, we're going to bring our control key back in. All right, our control key is located on the lateral lower left side of the keyboard. And once we do this, we're going to hold the left click of the mouse down, or actually, once we start clicking along the path from posterior to mental foramen, here's how it's going to be done. Left click it. I'd like to start the first green circle a little bit outside the posterior edge. And I'm going to space it approximately maybe about 5 millimeters apart. I'm just going to left click along the path. If we make a mistake, we can always left click it and drag each green circle back into position. Okay, and so once we do that, we'll just continue on our merry way. If we go off axis here, we can also do this. We can bring in the shift key and hold the shift key down, and we can delete a point, okay, or a number of points. So that's how that works. You may also go to the side here which says delete. You can also delete the line itself. Okay, so it just asks you if you want to delete the line or just the data. Make sure you got that selected if you have more than one. So, and there we go. And so we can just continue on our merry way. So once again, in review, we're going to hold our control key down, and then we're going to, with our little light bulb icon, we're going to drop little green circles along the length of the canal. Now, if you're holding the control key and you're left clicking and you don't see those green circles, chances are you have to go back up here, click on New. This is important. So make sure you have your new line in here, and then when you hold the control key down, you can go ahead and drop your green circles along the length of the mandibular canal. Okay, you can space them between 5 to 10 millimeters apart. I like them a little bit closer, just so if you go back to edit, you could go in and just grab the green circles. Now I did this a little purposely to show you, if you want to edit these on the other screens, you could go here, let's say in the coronal view. Let's take the crossbars off. These crossbars can be taken off. These four black squares up here, just click that. That's a toggle switch to take these off and on. So in case you want to see this a little bit clearer. So if you want to go from the other screens, just click on the green circle, drag it back into the position that you wish. Or you can do this from the longitudinal screen, just whatever screen you wish to do. Okay? And then you can continue with slicing. Now put the lines back on. After I drop the lines here in the right side, I'm going to go and look for the mental foramen. Notice in the 3D view, you get a nice particular view here of the line drawn, but you don't really see it exiting the mental foramen. How we're going to adjust for that is two ways. You can either come to the coronal screen, okay, and scroll forward, or I like to do this quickly by going to the green line on the sagittal. Just grab it right here where I am at the top. I'm going to move it forward, okay? And as we're moving it forward, I'm paying attention, and there it is, right there, okay? You can see it there in the coronal view. Once again, I'll take the lines off, and I'm just going to bring in the control key, and one more little green circle, control key, okay? And now, look, you can see the little loop that comes out of the 3D image where the mental foramen is. All right, so that is how you mark the right side of the canal. Now, to go to the other side, you can mark it as well. Simply hit the reset button, and you may do the same thing. Here's the left side. By the way, you can always right-click this to move this out of the way. See? So here's the left side. Here's the left mandible. Once again in review, Alt key. Hold the Alt key down. Click right into the mandibular canal here on the left. All right. Now we release the Alt key. Go up to the circle, the anchor point. Grab it. Moving the circle over on the parallel to the left side, and we get a nice, beautiful view here of the left mandibular canal. So once again, in review, hold the control key. Now, look, we have got to go to a new side. So we've got to click M canal is already selected. Hit new. This is important. So now we've got the new side, which is the left side. By the way, you can also change the color. Simply click on the color, and you may select a different color. Okay, just click the color you wish, and OK. And you can also change the size here. So you can do it beforehand, or the maximum it goes is a little higher up here. Okay, so you can really make this a very thick line. Of course, you wouldn't make it this big, but it defaults to 2, and then you can change it downward if you wish to 1. 1 is the lowest it goes. Okay, so once again, we're going to hold the control key down, and we're going to drop our green circles along the path of the left mandibular canal. Again, we could always correct for this later. Now I'm going to release my control key. Alright, and I'm going to take my green line, move it forward. There's the mental foramen coming out here. If the lines get in the way, I take off my enable disable cross cursor line. I can even scroll here, see, in this view. And okay, there's the green dot. I can actually move this one back a smidgen. Okay, and then you can put the next one out by holding, you know, the famous key, control key. Hold it down and drop one more little green circle, and here you see it very nicely out here in the left side of the mandible in 3D. Okay, now here's how it demonstrates real time if you want to reduce the line. See, right now it's at 2 millimeters. Let's say I want to reduce it. Okay, just make sure you've got this selected, and you can see the line has been reduced. See, and so you can reduce it on the fly, or you could reduce it beforehand, and the minimum it goes is 1 millimeter. So you're free to make your adjustments according to how you want to mark your sizes. Okay, put the lines back on. Okay, now we can always hit reset. It'll hold this positions both the right and the left. It's from this starting point. Later we can drop our implants in, our shaded implants, as we'll talk a little later or in another section. Also, here you can hide the 3D. You can take the 3D off. All right, you can hide all. That is the canals that you've drawn in, or you can redraw them back in. Okay. You may also save this as a scene. If you go up here, you can save it as a scene. Click on scene, and just name it what you wish. We'll just call it mandible canals. I'll abbreviate it. Be careful here when you're saving a scene, because Notice this, okay, if I hit the space bar, it grays out. So to separate words here when you're saving a scene, only when you're saving a scene, just use the hyphen or underscore. It does the same thing, okay? So you can keep that there, bilateral, let's say, and then when you hit OK, the scene will be saved to the patient's list. Next time you call up the patient's list, it will be there saved. Okay, so that is how you mark mandibular canals. And again, you can continue further on by hitting the implants and marking implants, or you could recall this later from the scene and continue to do the implants from that regard. One other quick item, there is the incisive canal. If you wish to mark that as well, one more thing, just hit the new icon on the right side, and so you have a brand new incisive canal. Again, you can, I like it from the sagittal, just hold the control key and just mark your canal accordingly as you go up, and you can see your incisive canal located here. Hey, by the way, if you want to look at all three views again, simply Alt key. This is a great little feature. Hold the Alt key down, click wherever you wish, and guess what? You've got it in all three views. Alright, so that's a really nice feature to use with your software. One last thing about this section, you may always hit the reset button, okay, and your markings are still going to be evident. And if you want to exit implant, just simply hit the implant icon and you exit. And even though you exit, you still have your canals drawn in. And this would apply also if you were doing the placement of the implants, which we'll cover in another section. That about concludes it for marking the mandibular canals.